It was a revolution on rails. It was the year 1825, and the world was about to experience a monumental leap forward, one that would change the course of history forever. A locomotive, the first of its kind, was set to run on tracks and carry passengers at unprecedented speeds. This wasn't just the dawn of a new form of transportation. It was the birth of the modern industrial age, a time when the world would forever be connected by iron and steam. But the story of the first train is not just about triumph and progress. It's a tale of fierce competition, incredible innovation, and dramatic controversy. The railroads that followed the first steam-powered train reshaped society, economy, and even the very way people lived. But the journey to this monumentous event was fraught with personal feuds, technological challenges, and a public unsure of what to make of this newfangled contraption. In this documentary, we'll uncover the drama and controversy behind the first train, how it came to be, and why it nearly failed before it could succeed. The idea of a steam-powered engine was not new. It had been kicking around for decades, with inventors like Thomas Newcomen and James Watt working tirelessly to harness the power of steam for mechanical purposes. The Industrial Revolution had already begun in full force, and new machines were sprouting up in factories, spinning wheels and steam engines in mines. But what had not yet been imagined was the idea of rail transport powered by steam. It was in the early 19th century that the British inventor Richard Trevetic, a Cornish engineer, made history with the idea that would eventually change everything. He wasn't the first to think of steam-powered transport, but he was the first to succeed in building a steam-powered locomotive. In 1804, Trevetic managed to construct the world's first steam locomotive that ran on actual tracks. However, despite this breakthrough, the idea of using trains for regular travel and transport didn't catch on right away. Why? The technology wasn't yet refined. Trevetic's locomotive, named Pennydarren, was too heavy and could not carry passengers. It broke down frequently and didn't have the necessary power or durability for the task at hand. More importantly, Trevetic's idea wasn't widely accepted by the public. Trains were still seen as something experimental, and many doubted whether they could ever match the success of horse-drawn carriages. But Trevetic's attempt was not in vain. His efforts laid the groundwork for the train's future, setting in motion the events that would eventually lead to the creation of the first truly successful steam-powered train, one that could carry passengers on a regular basis, change economies, and transform society. After Trevetic's failure, other inventors sought to build upon his ideas, but the road to success was far from smooth. George Stephenson, an engineer from northern England, would enter the scene as the key figure who made railroads truly work. But his path to victory was filled with intense competition and public skepticism. Stephenson's vision was to build a locomotive that could reliably pull trains over long distances. This would require powerful engines and tracks that could sustain the constant pressure of steam. But the idea was controversial. Many critics doubted the practicality of trains. Horse-drawn wagons had been the most reliable form of transportation for centuries, and many people believed that no machine, especially one powered by steam, could ever replace them. Some even feared that the very idea of a steam-powered locomotive was too dangerous. In fact, some of the earliest prototypes exploded under the pressure of the steam, giving rise to concerns about the safety of these machines. Then, there were the local landowners and vested interests in transport, particularly the owners of canal networks and road transport systems. These industries had an immense stake in keeping the status quo, and they fought fiercely against the idea of railroads. They spread rumors about the dangers of steam-powered travel, claiming that it could cause accidents, destroy businesses, and even ruin the countryside. But despite the opposition, Stephenson was undeterred. His innovative design for the locomotive, known as the Locomotion No1, was a game-changer. In 1825, Stephenson unveiled his engine for the Stockton and Darlington Railway, the world's first public railway to use steam-powered locomotives. It was a historic moment, but it didn't come without its challenges. The Stockton and Darlington Railway was originally built to transport coal from the mines near Darlington to the port in Stockton. But with Stephenson's Locomotion No1, the railway would change forever. On September 27, 1825, a crowd of onlookers gathered to watch history unfold. They were skeptical, unsure of what to expect from this strange machine powered by steam. And when the train set off for the first time, there was a sense of drama and anticipation in the air. Locomotion No1 was a far cry from the modern trains we think of today. It was a large, hulking machine with a black iron boiler, puffing clouds of smoke into the air as it chugged down the tracks. Despite early technical problems, such as the fact that the engine frequently broke down, it managed to carry passengers, coal, and goods over the 25 miles of track at a steady pace of about 15 miles per hour. This might not sound fast by today's standards, but at the time, it was a revolutionary speed. The success of the Stockton and Darlington Railway proved that steam locomotion could work, and that trains could indeed replace horse-drawn wagons on a larger scale. However, the drama surrounding the project was far from over. The success of this first railway created a ripple effect. Other engineers, inventors, and local governments saw an opportunity to build their own rail systems. But they would soon discover that bringing steam-powered trains to the masses wasn't going to be easy. One of the most fascinating chapters in the story of early trains involves the rivalry between George Stephenson and the ambitious engineer Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Stephenson had proven that steam locomotives could be a success, but Brunel, an even more visionary figure, would go on to create one of the most famous and controversial railways in history. In the early 1830s, Brunel was tasked with designing the railway for the Great Western Railway, a massive project that would connect London with the port of Bristol. Brunel's vision was to build a railway that would be faster, more efficient, and capable of handling heavier trains than any previous system. However, Brunel had a unique idea. He wanted to build a railway with a broad gauge, wider than the standard tracks used by Stephenson. This would allow for faster trains and greater stability, but it was a major break from the established norms. Stephenson, however, was committed to the narrow gauge, the standard that had worked for his designs. This disagreement between the two engineers would spark an intense and bitter rivalry, with each man trying to prove that his system was superior. Eventually, Brunel's broad gauge proved to be too costly and inefficient in the long run, but his vision for rail travel combined with Stephenson's practical approach laid the foundation for the modern rail network. Despite the controversies, rivalries, and challenges, the first successful steam-powered train marked the beginning of a new era. The creation of the Stockton and Darlington Railway, and later the Liverpool and Manchester Railway, demonstrated the incredible potential of trains for both passengers and freight. Soon, the first network of railways would stretch across Britain, then Europe, and eventually the world. The impact of the train on society was profound. It didn't just change the way goods were transported, it changed how people lived, worked, and traveled. It led to the expansion of cities, the growth of industries, and a complete shift in the dynamics of social and economic life. The train brought the countryside to the cities and made faraway places feel so much closer. As railways spread across the world, they transformed the way people thought about distance, time, and possibility. And the story of the first train serves a powerful reminder that history isn't shaped by triumphs, but also by controversies and drama that accompany every groundbreaking invention.